The saga of the underwhelming Thomas Brown era continues, and look, it really seems like there is no path forward for Thomas Brown with the Chicago Bears. He doesn't see this team quitting, but he's watching the product on the field, and he's understanding that his offense can't score and his defense can't stop. And early in the season, his defense was stopping as his offense was finding a way. Well, none of that is true anymore. So if he's not seeing it, he's not objective, and he can't be trusted. I mean, it should be clear at this point. Thomas Brown, despite Caleb Williams having positive things to say about him, is also putting Caleb at risk. He is creating situations with his rookie left tackle that this kid is. Caleb Williams is going to get hurt with Thomas Brown in charge. And listen, some of you are fans of Thomas Brown. In fact, I probably am a fan of Thomas Brown. But the product on the field says differently, that we should not be fans of Thomas Brown. Now, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Thomas Brown has done a remarkable job or even a good job under the circumstances at this point? Do you think that not being able to score, to barely being able to maintain half what the other team is doing is good enough to make this guy your head coach? I don't see it. I don't know how you do. But again, leave a comment down below. Explain to me why Thomas Brown is that guy. Explain to me why 12 points during 30, while the other team's 30 points. Explain to me why all of this makes perfect sense to you and why you see this as a good situation and why he is. But in the meantime, there's two names that stick out. Yesterday, we talked about Ben Johnson. Today, we're going to talk about Mike Vrabel. So hit the like button on your way in. So Mike Vrabel now has two potential offensive coordinator, and this is for Albert Breer. And by the way, I do not know. Insiders are telling the story completely differently than Albert Breer. So what we're getting from other insiders is that Ben Johnson is the guy. He's the choice. That's the end of the discussion. Now, according to Albert Breer, Mike Vrabel is that guy, with no insider information, by the way. But what Albert Breer is saying, that there is a big discussion that the favorite right now is Mike Vrabel. Now, the question would be, what would he bring to the table in terms of an offensive coordinator? And there's two names that have come out, and those two names are Josh McDaniels, which, of course, he won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots. He had top 10 offenses a lot with Tom Brady as his quarterback. But without Tom Brady, he looked a little bit more pedantic and pedestrian when it came down to it, being in both Denver and Las Vegas for a period of time, and didn't have that great run. However, somebody that did, and what's old is becoming new again, is because about a year ago I talked to you guys about somebody that I thought was going to be the next big thing in offensive coaching based on the way that he adapted his offense to suit a player, and that man was Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees, the former quarterback at Notre Dame. He was the offensive coordinator also at Notre Dame, very young, still 32 years old. And he went to Alabama, and Jalen Milroe in the first couple of games was horrid last season, not doing a good job at all. And Tommy Rees deconstructed and reconstructed the offense in a matter of 2 games, so that Jalen Milroe had an opportunity to excel at every level of his game. And Jalen Milroe ended up after struggling the first, I want to say 3 games, after struggling those first 3 games, he turns everything around, has 35 touchdowns over the course of that year, and accounts for about 3,400 yards. So, Tommy Rees seems like a guy who can really get into a quarterback's head and get the most out of them. So wouldn't you want to have that for Caleb Williams? And I think that the answer to that is yes. But it looks like that insiders are saying, and again, this is insiders for Mike Vrabel with Albert Breer, in the event that he actually is a selection. But again, I think the selection is Ben Johnson, that either Josh McDaniels, who guided Tom Brady, or Tommy Rees, who guided Jalen Milroe. And by the way, there's no comparison to Tom Brady and Jalen Milroe if you were looking at that and that was your litmus test for I can do that, then you would want the guy with Tom Brady, because Tom Brady is a legendary quarterback. A lot of people are saying that he's the Peyton Manning of football players. See what I did there? And so it looks like that comparison, when you take Josh McDaniels, you take Tom Brady out of the mix, Matt Castle and Mac Jones versus Jalen Milroe is also one of those things that you have to consider as well. So, two good guys that are offensive coordinators that might make a change. So we'll see what happens with Mike Vrabel. But we want to talk about something that's very, very important right now, and that is, look, is Thomas Brown endangering Caleb Williams by playing Kiran Emagaji? And by the way, I think that Kiran Emagaji is a tackle of the future for the Chicago Bears. And he was very confident when he was going into the offseason that nobody will touch Caleb Williams. I promise you, that was a statement that he made before Caleb Williams got touched a lot. Now, you might say, well, Kiran is just not that good. And, look, listen, the NFL is about practicing, and Kiran did not get a chance to practice. He's only had something like, I want to say like 48 total. He had like 14 practices. So this guy was not available for most of the season. He hasn't practiced most of the time. Getting him in there is actually a very good thing in the long term for him, giving him an opportunity to learn and give him an opportunity to experience the speed of the NFL. It's actually a good thing, but not at the expense of your quarterback. He was taking on Dallas Turner, who I, again, said, this is a guy that the Bears should be getting, not Rome Odunze. And by the way, I have nothing against Rome Odunze, but Dallas Turner was one of my guys where I said, that would be somebody that I would like to see, because the defensive line needed a lot of help. And we don't have that help. And guess what? Andrew Billings, Javon Dexter go down. And guess what? We're the worst rushing. Suddenly we can't stop anybody. Do you know what I'm saying? These were mistakes that were made. And again, I don't consider Rome Odunze a mistake, but Dallas Turner probably would have been a more viable player option, in my opinion, because I think that Rome, even though I think he's going to be a star in the NFL, Dallas Turner's going to be a star too. So I would have made that change right there and ran with DJ Moore, Tyler Scott, and Keenan Allen in this context, But putting an untested rookie at tackle and having Caleb Williams just getting eaten up because Kiran can't stop somebody is not a good look. And with the opportunity to protect your quarterback with somebody who's a little more experienced. And by the way, you also know how I feel. I do not like Larry Borom. I don't think that Larry Borom is a good blocker as well. But he's better than Kiran would be. So putting Kiran in there sounds good on paper, like let's get him some experience, but it endangered Caleb Williams multiple times, to the point that Caleb Williams at one point was just laid sideways on the bench because he was getting smashed by Dallas Turner. So the fact that Thomas Brown said, you know what, let's do this, means two things. Number one, either the GM came down, or either Ryan Poles came down and said, I want my guy starting and I want to see what he's got. Or Thomas Brown irresponsibly said, you know what, whatever happens to Caleb happens. Let's test this new guy out and see how it goes. I don't think that either one of those is a great sign for the future. And Thomas Brown said this. Yeah, I mean, I think you're talking about 25 hours before the game starts is not our time to make an adjustment like that. Kiran had been getting into the rotation behind Braxton Jones. Still feel good about some of those reps. Obviously, moving forward, if a guy has more opportunities to practice and have reps with that, I feel really good about his growth and development. But also, it's a tough environment for anyone to make his first start on the road in a loud environment versus a defense that rushes the passer pretty good. Why would you do that then? That makes no sense. Why would you do that? Why would you put him in the worst possible environment and consider this development of this guy? Like, I don't get that. I look, maybe I should say I get it. I don't like it. I don't like when you endanger other players because you've got something to prove. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. Also, this idiot right here, Dan Orlovsky, is concerned because Caleb Williams is the only rookie quarterback that he hasn't seen improvement in. So this guy's just about hot takes. This dum-dum, this is absolutely bonkers to me because Dan Orlovsky, and in some context, maybe you could defend his stupid opinion in your brain, but And Caleb Williams now has the longest streak in history of a rookie quarterback without an interception. He's probably going to throw for 3,400 yards. He's probably going to have about 20 touchdowns, 5, 6, 7 interceptions, maybe. He's had a couple turnovers, but in fumbling the ball in the last couple of games, getting blindsided by players because they put in people like Karan Amagaji to try to block for him. But, Caleb Williams has done a remarkable job and continued to get better and better despite the stupidness of the way Thomas Brown is putting 2 receivers at the same spot in the end zone. Just crazy, ridiculous plays. So Dan Orlovsky, out of his mind. I think that this is just I think this guy should just have a big red nose and some big floppy shoes at this point, because nothing that he's saying is just real. Has Caleb progressed? Yes, he has. Is it the way that we want? I don't think so. I think he personally is doing a lot better, but the team around him just is not getting it done. Or at least the offensive line is not giving him a chance to look like what he can do. A little bit more time, a little bit less pressure, and I think this team would be way better. Also, Thomas Brown has defended the skid here and says that I would disagree with you when they said that that the team is quitting on him, right? If you watch the tape, our guys battled until the very end. Okay. Saying we don't have a lot left in the tank alludes to our guys quitting. Yeah. And I didn't see that at all on tape. Are you watching with your eyes closed? I think our guys continue to battle. I'm going to continue battling. I'm going to continue to fight for them and stay behind them. They gave up 30 points and 38 points in the last 2 games. They're giving up an average of 34 points a game. That's the worst in the NFL by far. So you're telling me they didn't quit. Okay, no problem. The offense can't score points and is scoring at the worst offensive level in the NFL since you've taken over. What do you mean they haven't quit? Caleb Williams getting annihilated by your left tackle that you put in. What do you mean that we haven't quit? I mean, the people, and if you say, well, the talent level drops off tremendously, so you're saying that Ryan Poles has failed you and that Ryan Poles is the problem. Do you see what I'm getting at here? It just seems like Thomas Brown doesn't get it. Thomas Brown does not get it. And I was all for this guy a couple of games ago, but it is getting obvious at this point that he just does not care to the level that a Bears fan cares about what is happening to this team. It's getting bad, right? And it's going to get worse, I want to say, because this team does not care about what this guy is doing. Personally, a few players probably do because they like him. And I think we all kind of genuinely like him, and we know that he's just saying things to to elevate himself or to elevate the players and stuff like that. But I mean, you had Cole Kmet come out and say, I think what I've learned through all of this is you got to be on your own shit, and trying to get other guys to do certain things or other people to do certain things, it takes away from your preparation. And then if other guys aren't doing their jobs or other people aren't doing their job, that's on them. Well, if the players on your team are seeing that people are not doing their jobs, what do you mean your effort is there? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's getting wild here in Hallis Hall in Chicago. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm going to wrap this up, but I'm going to say this. Thomas Brown cannot stay here. He does not have the better interest of the future of this team at the forefront of his mind. He is endangering our quarterback. He is not coaching up our offensive line in any way. They're not trying. They're not putting in the work, their effort. These are pro NFL athletes that can't do their job effectively on a pro NFL team, and they're getting paid for that. Now, you might argue that the other team is getting paid too to make sure that these guys don't look good doing their job. But, look, boneheaded stuff continues to happen. Ridiculous penalties continue to happen. Lack of preparedness continues to happen. Nothing has changed fundamentally about the nature of this team, and it's been a cesspool and continues to be that. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of days, but it's not looking good. And with that, I'm going to go to the referee, and I'm going to check in as the fullback for this final play. We'll talk to you again very, very soon.